just going to be just a review of the start of our course because Abdul and Ali weren't there in the first class, and anybody can watch this, but it's just trying to help us all get started. And okay, and so our syllabus is on our Brightspace page, and just to briefly describe the syllabus, we meet and we are using this workbook, and there are 13 units in the workbook, and we just work through those and get that stuff done. And then after every class meeting, there'll be some homework. It'll be due the next week. So for example, from our first week, our homework was, let me just write this over here because you'll want to get it, but the homework for the first week is that on this coming Wednesday, and I think it's the 22nd at the start of class, turn in week 1 homework. And one of those was for Unit 3, and we talked about in that class, and everybody was in class. So then we also have Unit 1 homework and Unit 2 homework. And Unit 1 homework is the questions for thought, at the end of Unit 1. And there's help for that in a video. And so let me just cut to our Brightspace page to find that video. So here's our Brightspace course, and then there was a video. So Brightspace announcement 5 can help you, describe you how to do those conversions that we learned about in class on our first class meeting, and are for the question for thought. So take a look at that Brightspace announcement number 5 to get help with that. There's a video to help with those. Those are due at the start of class. And then for Unit 2, also do the questions for thought. The Unit 2 has got a lot of reading in it, and it includes stuff that we don't need to do. So for example, there is in Unit 2 some human height data that uses a computer program called Systat, and we don't have to do that. So there are 2 questions for thought that are about human height data, and we don't have to answer those. So you could just put for those, not done. And then, but the question for thoughts, and then we're going to make making 2 graphs plus hypotheses for those graphs. Okay, and so since we're just kind of got going on the homework, let me describe the data. So the first one is, the first graph is about human heart rate. And so this is the data that we shared on the first class meeting, and everybody's making a graph. And so the first thing to do about this data is think of a hypothesis that you could test using some or all this data. And what is this data like? So there were 13 students, and they measured their resting heart rate, and then they exercised, and they measured their heart rate, and then they measured it every 30 seconds until their heart rate returned to the original resting heart rate. Okay, so that's the data you're going to work with. You might use all of that data in a graph or some of it. Think of a hypothesis. The purpose of any graph is to create a visual that uses the data and shows that the data is relevant for that hypothesis. So we want to have a hypothesis and the data, and then a graph that's helping to demonstrate that the data is matched up with the hypothesis. So we're going to make a graph for that one, and then we are going to make a graph for, so that's 1, and that's where that data is, and Then 2 is there's data on these mussel shells that we measured in class, and we have a total of 40. So each person measured 10, and we got a total of 40. And that data is also on Brightspace, and it is on announcement number 4. So mussel shell data. And so you use that data to make another graph. And again, for that, what you do is take a look at that data and first think of a hypothesis that you could use that data to test. And what we're doing with this is we're practicing making a hypothesis, then collecting data, and then making a graph. And the idea is not just a random graph over all the data or some of the data, but a graph that helps visually demonstrate whether that hypothesis seems to be correct or incorrect. Okay, so in your homework, 2 graphs plus the hypotheses that you decided you'd use to test them. That's it. Okay, and so you have all the information to do the homework, and it's due at the start of class, like that. Now, in class on Wednesday, we're going to do a quiz, and the quiz is going to be about Unit 1 and 2, the homework and what it says in Units 1 and 2. And the purpose of that is to make sure everybody gets started on our course. And so we only have 2 quizzes in our course, and they're not a huge deal, but they're to get started on the quizzes, get started on the habit of trying to learn, about what's going on in each of the units. Okay, great. So at the start of class on Wednesday, we'll talk about that. And if people have questions after they hand in their homework for Units 1 and 2, let's talk about them. And we'll have a little quiz in class like that. And, low stakes quiz, not like a final exam, but just to try to help us make sure that we, follow up on stuff. And if you don't have, if you have questions about what we're trying to get done in Unit 1 and 2, well, bring those to class, and we'll answer them before we take the quiz. All right, awesome. All right, so then more about the syllabus. And so the syllabus is on Brightspace, and it's under our course content. So it's under here, and there's our syllabus. And it says, you got to try to attend. There's no makeup for these if you miss it. And of course, you might miss it. You're sick, your car breaks down. You don't need to tell me if you're going to miss it. You just missed it. And there's no makeup for it. When you come the next time, you should try to get notes from another student and find out, because if you can still do the homework assignment, like the questions of thought or whatever the homework assignment was, you can still do it. That'd be great. So try to get to class. That's part of our grades. Then there's our calendar. Then the basis for the points are that we're going to do 3 lab reports. And the first lab report we're going to write is on Unit 4. So we'll learn about that on Monday in class. And we want to do a good job on those. Then we'll have homework. Then we'll have a couple of quizzes. And then we're going to do a student presentation. And I haven't talked about that yet, but we'll be talking about it this coming week and getting that scheduled so each student gives one presentation about a topic in biology they find interesting. Okay, so that's really it. I should also mention I talked about safety, and our lab is very safe, and we'll talk about safety at the first every class meeting. Everybody was in class last week on Wednesday. That's what the rest of our classes are going to be like. The first class meeting was kind of clunky because we were getting started and familiar with, the course and the plans, stuff like that. But now we're already rolling. Each time we'll come in, we'll do a unit. I printed the rest of the handbook up, so I'll have that on Monday, Unit 4 through the rest of the course. And so, everybody will have that, and we'll just roll with it. And I think that's all I wanted to say about getting started. Bring questions to class on Monday, and we'll answer those and make sure everybody's comfortable with where our course is going. All right, awesome. And so that's it, and I'll stop it here.